Good afternoon, this is Matthew Lindsay with Precision Home Group here in Anchorage, Alaska. Coming to you live, it is Thursday, so we're talking to you about real estate investing. So today we're talking about multifamily investments. We're talking about property management, when to hire or not to hire. That is the question that we're going to answer today. Before we get into that, I want to recap last week's video where we talked about renting versus owning. Now, today is real estate investing basics, right? That's what Thursdays is. So when we're talking renting to own or owning, we're talking investment minded. I had several people reach out to me, talk to me about, hey, that's not true. This isn't what we want to be doing. This is all we want, things like that. Renting versus owning. I was saying that renting is better in the mindset, with the mindset that you are investing. So keep that in mind. I love to talk to you about that on a personal one-on-one basis, or send me a comment. I will get back to you. I'd love to talk to you about that. But today, we're talking property management. That is what it is. Multifamily real estate investing is one of my favorite things to talk about. So we're going to dive in. So one of the big things with property management is people think that it's too expensive. That's why they don't want to hire them out. That's why they don't use them, and that's why a lot of things go bad, right? So people's excuses, people's reasons for not using them, like I said, is that price. The real problem, the real issue behind that, the core problem is actually that they are in a property that does not have margins. They're in a property that does not produce enough income or cash flow to actually pay for that property management company. They're playing a small game and they're staying in a small game. You know, they're not using their properties in a way to leverage and build up and get into bigger properties that actually have a margin for that. So that's the first thing I want to cover. If you're complaining about the cost of property management, maybe that management company is a little bit expensive. Maybe there's a couple others in town. But the big thing you should be thinking about is, hey, how do I afford them? How do I utilize their services so that I am not putting my time, my energy into that property day in and day out, right? Second thing is some of the different things that property management do that you do not know about, or you don't have the same experience that a property management company would have. So we're going to go into a couple of those things. We have a lot of people coming to us consistently telling us that, hey, you know, we want to get into a investment property. You know, they want to start off the small game, the duplex, the triplex, the fourplex, using those residential mortgages, those loans for those, right? So they want to get into it, and they think the most difficult aspect of doing so is actually getting the loan process, closing on the property, and moving in, right? That's not the hardest part. That's the easiest part in most cases. Once you move into the property, that's when the work begins, right? You got everything from tenants that you got to work with, maintenance on the property you got to deal with, making sure your books are in order, making sure that you're staying current with the landlord-tenant laws, making sure that you're doing everything legally, making sure that, you know, if you have any evictions, you're doing that correctly, making sure that if you have, any lawsuits due to those evictions, making sure that you're inspecting all the units that you have before people move in, during people living there, and after they move out, making sure that you have correct documentation, all this kind of stuff, right? And there's much, much more. It's things that property management companies see day in and day out. They know things that you don't. That is their job, that is their experience, they are experts in their field. That is why they're doing what they're doing, right? So, for these new investment, minded people, these people that want to get into their first investment property, they need the training. They don't have the training, right? They need to educate themselves. They need to get the knowledge necessary to perform the task that they need to do, because they're getting into a property which they don't have margins for a property management company, correct? So, long story short, there's a couple key different things here. One is, if you are a investment-minded person, if you're getting into your first investment property, it's multifamily, and you don't know what you're doing, you need to educate yourself. Education, right? That is the key here. So how do you do that? There's a couple different ways. One, you need to surround yourself with people who are doing like things or bigger things. You need to network with people who have experience in that field. So here in Anchorage, I know that we have several investment clubs. We have the Real Estate Exchange, we have the Landlord's Almanac, and a couple other groups as well, based solely around training, around giving information to people to actually manage their properties, to actually invest in other properties, and working on the correct information, right? So tonight is the Landlord Almanac. They have an event once a month that they put on, that they bring together vendors for property management. They bring together property managers. They bring together landlords who own the properties to share ideas, to educate themselves, to go over different topics. That is something that you need to be doing if you are a property owner and you want to invest in multifamily. There are other resources out there. There's tons of online courses, webinars, books. Here in Anchorage, Alaska, also we have a company, Real Property Management. It's a franchise. Here in Anchorage, the local owners is going to be Cassandra and Eric Boltman. They have actually, Cassandra has actually written a book about her experiences with property management, all the ins and outs that she's seen over the many, many years that she's owned that company, ran property management for other companies, and condensed it into a book. It's a wealth of knowledge, so I highly recommend it. We actually have a copy here today, and I'd love to get you a copy as well. So we have Pain or Profit. Amazing book. I highly recommend it. I personally give this out to all of my clients who want to get into any type of multifamily investing. If they want to purchase one, then we make sure that they have the correct knowledge, and you should have that knowledge too. Additionally, so this video here is called to hire or not, right? So we've talked a lot about the not side, about the doing it yourself side. My mission is to help you get into a place, to help you change your mindset so that you are putting yourself in bigger projects, bigger properties, actual properties that can afford, actually have the margin to afford the property managers so that you don't have to be doing that. Because if you're managing the property yourself, you're buying yourself a job. You know the old saying that landlords grow rich in their sleeps? Well, there's a lot of things that go with that. If you're in one of those residential style multifamily properties, that may not be the case for you. And I would love to sit down and analyze the actual numbers, not just rent rolls, but exactly every expense that you have going into that property, including your time, and really see if that property cash flows for you. Thank you very much for watching today. This has been Matthew Lindsay with Precision Home Group, talking today about property management, about educating yourself, and real estate investing basics. I will see you back here tomorrow with Alicia Lindsay, my wife and business partner, as we talk to you about business, marriage, and life.